Welcome back to Momentous Struggle, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. On today's episode, Aubrey and I are going to do some list building based off of a specific tag. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So as always, I'm joined by Aubrey, but before I actually get and talk to Aubrey, I need to apologize because I am a technology idiot. I'm going to say that right now. We have tried to record this podcast already twice, and because me and technology have not been getting along during the Thanksgiving holiday, you haven't had a podcast to listen to from Momentous Struggle. But we're going to go ahead and try and do this again. This will be our third attempt at this, and hopefully I will be actually being able to put this out to you. So, with that said, how are you doing, Aubrey?
Dear listeners, I have to say, our first recording of this was phenomenal. It was a great episode. You would have loved it. Our second recording, a little more to the point, a little faster. I don't think it was quite as good, but it still would have been an okay episode. Now, here we are on attempt number 3, because technology is being technology, and we're going to see how it goes, everybody. We're going to see how it goes. I am now neck deep in purchasing a home in a challenging market, which Todd knows better than I do, given his line of work. But I'm doing all right, everybody. I'm doing all right. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Right, Todd? I haven't talked to 3 different home inspectors in the past 72 hours. Definitely not a thing that I've been doing.
No, I mean, the home buying process is by far probably one of the most stressful things anyone can go through. I mean, so for the people that don't know, I am the lead staff appraiser for a federal organization. If people really want to dig into it, I'm sure they can figure out who it is. But I know a lot about the mortgage industry and values of homes and things along those lines. So, and I've been doing it for close to about 15 years now. So, yeah, the home buying process is super stressful, and Aubrey is like right in the middle of the worst part of it, which is, and I've seen everyone going through some of the same struggles that you've been going through, Aubrey. So, no, I get it. You're not alone. I think everyone has had these same struggles that you're having, and yeah, you're going to get through it. Eventually you're going to have a house, and you're going to sit there and go, man, I got to fix this too, and be completely miserable about that. So it'll be okay. You'll get there.
Hey, the good news, listeners, is there is a converted patio that they made into an extra room, and it is exactly the right size for gaming. So we are all set. Once we get that room in the configuration that it should be in, it's going to be a phenomenal game room. So that's the real important part, right, everyone?
Exactly. Like having a good place to sit there and play, paint, and just do general hobbying stuff is very important. So, have you had a chance to get any games in I guess this has been like 2.5, 3 weeks now since we've actually put an episode out. Have you had any like important, fun games that have really kind of jumped out at you that you want to talk about?
So I did do a couple of games on the new Sabotage Showdown mission pack, playing Galactic Republic, because I wanted to try out Padawan Ahsoka now that I have the model. And for those of you who are keeping up, I did very well in a tournament. No, I'm just kidding. I won the random die roll as to who was going to get the prize. And ended up with a Padawan Ahsoka. So I wanted to try her out, and I also wanted to try like the 212th and a couple of are they still bad clones on the new mission pack? Were they just bad because of the mission, or were they just bad? Yeah, spoilers, they were just bad, everyone. they're not good enough, not quite there. Just stick with the ARFs and the Republic Commandos, and I don't know what to tell you about Premiere except maybe don't play Galactic Republic. Sorry, everyone. But general feelings, the games did feel better than my previous experience with Galactic Republic, and this might be because I've got a little more experience. I played with other units, and then I'm looking at it with fresh eyes. The mission pack, I think, does help because you can keep the clones on the back points and actually get those coordinated fires off. But it's still hard. Like we were playing both times, we ran out of time and didn't get through the third struggle. The shop was closing.
You got to play on Fridays when they're open till midnight.
Yeah. My life has been difficult on Fridays, and so it. Some of that might have just been like my opponents were also testing out stuff, like so we were kind of talking back and forth and going over interactions in a little more detail, just because we were both very much in a testing frame of mind. But I also just think Galactic Republic just doesn't deal enough damage. I did not have any problem closing out games when I was playing with, the Death Mirans or the Separatists.
Yeah.
I didn't have that problem, Todd. So, I mean, does the mission pack help? Yeah. Does it help enough? I'm sorry, but the dark side seems to still be winning these events. What do you think, Todd? What about you? I know it's been a couple weeks now.
I mean,
What do you think?
I haven't, unfortunately. So because I dabble in both games, I dabble in Shatterpoint, and Shatterpoint's probably like the game I play the most. But there's not anything really big competitively on the horizon, and we're having kind of a lull in releases and everything along those lines. In January, mid January, so like 6 weeks from the time of this recording ish, we're going to be having LVO, and the big thing at LVO is Marvel Crisis Protocol (MCP). So I have been all in on MCP, unfortunately, and not doing as much Shatterpoint stuff. I've been doing a lot of hobbying. I actually finished painting the Mace Windu box, and Luminara is based, and I have most of her like base colors down and everything like that. So I'm now onto the Luminara box because I haven't been really painting any of the Galactic Republics because they're just not fun to play because they lose a lot.
Ouch. I mean, remind me, who won the Clone Wars? Who won the Clone Wars?
I think Emperor Palpatine really won the Clone Wars is really what happened. Order 66, and he won it. So I think that's how it worked, right?
Yep. That sounds about right.
But no,
the Jedi just couldn't hack it.
no, the Jedi definitely did not win the Clone Wars because the clones actually won the war there, and under the direction of Emperor Palpatine. As far as like, at least that's what my evilness says, and my daughter's pose of
Wait. Remind me, what happens to the clones of the Bad Batch? Did the clones really win the Clone Wars? I don't think
they won
so.
the Clone Wars. Once become the Empire, they didn't win at anything at all. They won the Clone Wars, though.
All right. Okay. Just checking.
But no. So like, I haven't really got a lot of games, and I'm hoping to start getting some more games in as soon as we can. Like when things start to like level out a little bit more, and hopefully, once you buy your house, we'll be playing a little bit more too. Like, but I know you got so much going on in your life. So to get into the main topic I know, right? So to get into the main topic of what we're going to talk about tonight, though, really is we're going to start taking a look at individual tags and start building a competitive list, and then maybe some fun lists like that around that specific tag. And based off of all of the hate that you can hear that I'm giving for the Galactic Republic, that's who we're going to build around. So we're going to start.
Yeah, we kind of buried the lead here, everybody. The theme is Galactic Republic. That's where we're starting.
Yeah, so we're going to start with Galactic Republic, and yes, I have been giving them a little bit too much probably hate for this episode, but that's all right. We're going to sit there and make it work one way or the other. But basically, the first thing I wanted to talk about is kind of looking at just which mission pack we're going to take, and I guess the best way to kind of analyze that is kind of looking at the win rates of the primaries now, or like over the course of since the game has come out versus the time that since we've gotten Sabotage Showdown. So since we got before we got Sabotage Showdown, Galactic Republic really was not performing very well. Like Mace Windu was probably like the best performing one with a 50, like as of right now, he has a 53% win rate. Luminara has a 51% win rate going from the time that the game is released until now. And those are the only two that are over 50%. But if you go and actually take a look at like the win rates of, so let's say starting at of November 1st of this year, and since that's around the time that we ended up getting the Sabotage Showdown mission pack, all of a sudden Luminara jumps up to a 50% win rate from November 1st until now, so over the last 30 days. Now, Mace kind of fell off a little bit. He dropped down to 49%, but he's kind of tied with Queen Amidala and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it seems like Luminara is doing pretty well under this new mission, with this new mission pack coming out, or maybe people are starting to learn a little bit more on how to play her specifically. I don't know. What do you think?
I think some of it is just recognizing when an innate ability by itself is worth building around. Because and I agree. I mean I tried Luminara. I was pretty high on her because I just thought the deck manipulation and the full recovery were what you wanted to focus on with her. But it turns out when you're in a very aggressive meta, which is what we're looking at here, flow of the force, an enemy unit gets wounded, you get a free dash. When an enemy character wounds an allied unit, you get to heal 3. I mean, Luminara doesn't do much on her activation, but she influences practically every pivotal combat.
Yeah.
So, and when you're dealing with fewer objectives and you need to be a little bit more mobile, yeah, that makes sense. I can see why she's doing well.
Keeping, and I mean the big piece of that is keeping Mace engaged in combat so that he is able to sit there and continuously have that bubble. And I think that's why she is so good into the current meta, is because she can keep certain people engaged when they need to be engaged, type of a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was my early experience with Mace, is that like he is great when his bubble is online and he's in the thick of things and he's doing it, but the second somebody, Magna Guards shoves him off into oblivion, yeah, looking at you, Magna Guards, don't they have like 3? They have 3 shoves total, right?
Yeah.
And 2 of them are like their first 2 successes, if I'm
Right.
remembering correctly. Yeah,
That sounds
looking
about
at
right.
you, Magna Guards. Soon as Mace gets shoved off into oblivion, well then the house of cards that is the Galactic Republic starts to crumble, and
Exactly.
yeah, she helps with that.
Yeah.
So
So it seems like Luminar is kind of like the way to. It seems to be a little bit more, have a little bit more utility, I guess, than initially thought when building a good Galactic Republic list. So I don't know. We'll take a look and see. So overall, I mean, we're going to take a look at trying to build a competitive list to start with, and then we'll go ahead and have some fun after that. But competitively wise, I don't know. Looking at primaries, who do you think we should be looking at for primaries? I mean, so overall, there's a couple of different ones. And for listeners, for the purposes of this exercise, we are only going to be using characters that have the Galactic Republic tag. So we're not going to be splashing people like Jango Fett. We're not going to be splashing the Magna Guards or whatever. If we're going to be using a 3-drop, it's only characters that have that Galactic Republic tag. So that kind of leads us down to having Anakin, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luminara, of course. Darth Vader does have that tag. I know you hate that for some reason, but
talk about that.
but he has that tag. We do have Queen Amidala and, of course, Jedi Master Mace Windu. So, I mean, when you're looking at building a competitive team, what do you think is going to be like the first primary that you're going to be taking?
So I know we just talked about the win rate being down a little on him, but I still think Mace Windu is the way to go. Like if we're just building 2 squads, we're not talking about a whole premier list, because then I mean in the case of some of these tags, we don't even have enough to make 4 squads. So
Right.
I think you still start with Mace, which does mean that our first list is done, because you have to bring pawns in the ARFs if you're bringing Mace. Like there's pretty much no other options except for the 501st, and I don't think we're subbing in the 501st for the ARFs. That's not happening.
You what? You don't want to take the 501st? They are amazing at in the comics and stuff. So, are you sure you don't want to take them?
Uh, AMG, if you buff only one unit, can you make it so it's not embarrassing to take the 5-0 frickin' first into my game? Vader's Fist. Yeah, even made it so I can run Vader with the 5-0 first by giving him that Galactic Republic tag for some reason. I get what you were doing. You wanted me to be able to run 5-0 first. Now, could they just be good? Be
No,
great?
they're pretty. I mean, they're
Work
pretty
on that.
awful. They're pretty awful in this game. So I mean that completely makes sense. Absolutely. There's only one 3 point secondary unit that you can take. So you're gonna have to take Pons. And overall, I mean Pons. Yeah, he's not the best secondary by any means, but he's 3 points. So yeah, that makes sense. And Mace is so good that it kind of offsets it. And the ARF are pretty good. They do have enough utility. I mean, is there anything spectacular about the ARFs, or even not spectacular, but anything like that makes you want to take the ARFs over the 5-0 first?
Oh, no, this is the wild part. The ARFs could be 4 points easily. I don't understand why they're 3 points. The ARFs are single-handedly the best clone supporting unit that we have at the moment, which is really weird because they're 3 points.
Right.
Now Pons feels like a 3 point secondary. Like we can argue about Pons being a weak activation all day long, but at the end of the day, he's 3 points. He should feel at least a little underpowered compared to all the fours.
Mm-hmm.
The ARFs, on the other hand, make all of the clones look bad. And
Right.
they're only 3 points. Like I don't like expose.
Yeah.
Amazing. What is it? 7 dice, right? Don't they have? Let me think. Let me bring this up before I keep on.
No, they have
Yeah,
7 dice on range.
7 dice. 7 dice at range. They have a pin as their first success. They have a shove as their second success. They have expose on their tree. Like pin, shove all day long. These guys are great.
Yeah.
Why,
No.
why are they 3 points?
And we have a love affair with expose anyway, so we just love that one no matter what. So I mean, being able to just coordinate a fire expose for free, as long as they're not wounded, is always amazing. So no, I get it. So basically, we have our first squad pretty much made because we're going to take Mace. There's a couple of different options then that we have for our second squad, though, especially for the primary. There's Luminara, who seems to be having a lot of rising stock right now. There is Obi-Wan Kenobi, who he's still a solid character. There's Anakin, who he is a really good beater. He can come in and just destroy stuff. I mean, the last tournament we played in, Anakin just destroyed my freaking. He came in, like I said, he came in and he just destroyed all of my droids like they were freaking younglings in the temple, man. So.
Oh, too soon. Too
soon. Sorry about that, but no, I mean he's definitely good. So I mean there's some really good options there. Of course, Plo Koon, I know that we're not talking about characters that have or models that have not been released. I know that he's getting some play in TTS leagues and things along those lines, and he's doing pretty well. But we're just we're just talking about the models that have been released. But those three, I mean, and even Queen Amidala and her box, there is things to be said. I mean, they're all right around that 50% mark. With, like I said, with Luminara kind of rising, who do you think is the next one to kind of pair with Mace?
So I mean, we could go with the easy answer and just call this episode done and say, hey, bring Padme and you bring her all box and hey, we're done. And that'd be a solid choice, I think, on Sabotage Showdown specifically because the ranged options are better. I do think the clones are able to hang back, the handmaidens are able to hang back. That would be the easy answer, right? But that's boring. I want more hot takes, and I still think Mr. Hello There himself, General Kenobi, is the way to go because I love Luminara's ability, and and I think it's underutilized, and I think people are maybe just not playing her well. And I think they're starting to figure it out, which is great.
Yeah.
But you want a primary activation. I feel like those are the moments where the battle can swing in your favor. Like we have all been hit with a lackluster primary activation, and it just feels bad.
Yeah.
And I feel like almost every Luminara, like her actual activation is never gonna feel outstanding to you. She's gonna do work the whole rest of the game. Do not get me wrong, but her activation, I don't know. And so I think it's got to be, you know, General Kenobi. He's gonna hello there every single time. You're all gonna cry. He's gonna deal some damage, and then uh, you like dashes, you like hunker tokens.
Yeah.
He's gotcha.
Exactly.
Like and I feel like that stickiness of his removing the hunker and dashing back on. There have been numerous occasions where I've heard other people say this. I've done it. I've said it. Like you can stop a successful attack just by dropping a hunker and dashing back onto a point.
Right.
And all the work and effort they went into got undone by his ability
Right.
on the spot. So I still think it's Obi. I still think it's Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, and I've had games where Obi-Wan hellos there. They go ahead and roll their dice, and he only goes 5 successes, and he ends up basically being able to do his full tree. So, he hellos there, rolls 10 dice, gets enough successes to go all the way down his tree, and you know what happens? He gets 3 doggone shoves. And next thing I know, I'm in the middle, going from the middle of the board all the way to the board edge because doggone Obi-Wan Kenobi decided to push me all the way off the board, to the other side of the board. So, no, I get it. I think he's a solid character. He's always going to be a solid character. Well, I wouldn't say always. He's a very solid character, and he's very good in what we're trying to do. Displacement is the name of the game right now. So no, I definitely like having him as the second primary in this strike force that we're building.
Yeah. Yeah.
So since we're going to be taking Obi-Wan, there's a couple of different options that we have as a secondary. We can have we can have Captain Rex, who is a solid 4. We can go with Commander Cody, who is Commander Cody. He's really awesome.
No.
There's also Barriss, there's Snips, and there's Sabe. So we have a lot of different options. Cody, we're probably not going to look at because he is pretty much looked at as the worst secondary in the entire game right now. So
you almost never get his on activation ability. It is so many hoops to jump through. You never get it, and then he's only good at range. He's awful. Okay, I don't need to keep talking about Cody. Let's keep going. Going.
Cody is not good. I mean, and so we're not going to be taking Cody. I mean, so ultimately, I think there's a few options. Really, what we're looking at is Rex, Barriss, or Ahsoka. And in all honesty, I think Rex is probably your best bet here. But I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think so. I have a couple of things that lean you because like Barriss is your best diceless displacement, right? If you have to, Barriss will just move somebody off a point and it's great. But this is a very force hungry list that we're talking about. You need force, and yes, I know Mace can refresh your force. That's part of what makes him good. But Obi-Wan needs force. All of the clones need force for defensive maneuver. I don't see a world where you're going to have time for Barriss, or I guess not time, but force economy for Barriss's push. And that's really what's holding her back. She's better in not Galactic Republic lists because other primaries are better at giving us force. Like Mace is over here trying his best, but there are just times where you need to be on the Vapod side, and maybe you don't even shatterpoint him, and then the Republic has to go through so much effort to refresh their force, and everybody else just gets it. Like, what the heck? So I
Right.
don't think it's Barris. Snips is extremely mobile. I mean, that is what she does. She can bounce from one end of the board to the other. But again, that's very force hungry. Whereas Rex, you get it on activation. You can move just about whomever you so desire with his on activation. He's got shoves. He's got great dice. He's like Rex. Rex is mainly harpered. Wow, hampered by the fact that he's Galactic Republic. I'm
Right.
pretty sure Rex would be in contention for one of the best secondaries in the game if he wasn't Rex.
Right.
Like the
If
rest of it,
yeah, if he
the
wasn't
rest of
actually
his
a
stuff's
clone.
great. And here's the other caveat as to why I think you should bring him is so Pons very much cares about allied galactic or not allied clone troopers specifically,
hmm
and then so does Rex. Rex cares about what's I'm blanking on the name of his ability. He has the ability that cares
I'm
about
always first kid, or bring it on,
yeah,
clankers.
I'm uh
I'm
oh
almost
well
positive you're thinking of
it's
I'm always
both of
first
it.
kid. Yeah.
It's both of them. That's why I couldn't remember. It's so Bring It On Clankers is any allied clone trooper, so it works with pawns, and then I'm always first kid only works with supporters. So I think I was thinking of Bring It On Clankers. My point is that you can get a little bit more juice out of pawns. We're digging deep here if you pair him with Rex, whereas there's nothing left to squeeze
Right.
if we pair the different secondary. And I know that's very minor, it's very little, but add on the fact that Rex is just amazing, and I think we're good to go.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. I think Rex is kind of the way to go here. So we have one last slot. That's the supporting unit under Obi-Wan. So because Obi-Wan's an 8-point cost character, that means that we have 4 points to play with. We only have, well, we have the 501st, but we don't like the 501st. So we're probably not going to be bringing the 501st here. So we have pretty much 3 other options. We have the 212th. Not that great. We have the Republic Clone Commandos, or we have the Royal Handmaidens. And that's all that we have. I mean, granted, you probably could throw the Bounty Hunters in there, but they don't have that tag, so we're not going to play around with them. So I don't think there's much of a choice here, really. It's really the Clone Commandos as far as I'm concerned, because the handmaidens are really only good under Padme and Wasabe. They're not really going to be that great in this particular build that we've made.
Right. We are still emphasizing clone troopers specifically with this build. So and with especially with Obi-Wan and the hunker tokens, you want to be able to get hunker tokens by spending the force on defensive maneuver as often as you can. Uh, I definitely see a world where someday we actually do divorce the handmaidens. Oh, maybe awkward phrasing given that they're divorcing from Padme.
Right?
Anyway, uh, I see a world where someday you maybe run the handmaidens by themselves because a lot of their even though they get better with Padme, I'm not saying it's outstanding. They do have good enough abilities that I could see a world where you run them. But that's also because my other options right now in Galactic Republic are the 212th and the 501st. Like, I mean, let's they're getting the nod just because Galactic Republic's supporting characters are so not great. Ugh.
Exactly.
But
Exactly. But I mean, the
but we
commandos
need the
aren't
clone
bad.
trooper tag.
Yeah, we need that tag. The overall, I mean, the clone commandos aren't horrible, but like I said, under that Galactic Republic, they're not the greatest. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. I mean, as far as this, our competitive team, I guess so to speak, is going to be Mace, Pons, the Arfs, because and so basically the Mace Windu box, along with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Captain Rex, and the Clone Commandos. And I think it's a pretty solid strike force if you're going to just sit there and show up and to your local gaming store and just play a casual game, or even just a pretty competitive game. I think this is a decent team to play, especially under the Sabotage Showdown mission pack.
Right. And the nice thing is that you could very easily sub in different things here if you've got a different preference. I mean, there's options you have here, and if you were going to build out to try and add 2 more squads, well, this is where I would start as like I'm showing up round one and I don't know what's going on with my opponent and I am determined to play Galactic Republic. Well, this is probably what I would use to start my day.
Yeah, I mean, and you can, I mean, if you're going to make a premiere list, you can always just slot in the Padme box for one and probably the Luminara box, like, and just add in a different 4 cost character other than the, or 4 cost supporting unit. I guess you could throw the 212th under her if you really needed to, or some, or even the bounty hunters, just to sit there and flush out a premiere list if you really wanted to, and just go all Galactic Republic. I mean, that's definitely an option if someone's really wanting to go that route.
No evil, Todd. Beware the dark side.
Oh, no, the dark side is good. Give in to your hate.
I
But
know what hate leads to, Todd. I don't want to get barbecued.
that's only because Obi-Wan was a jerk. It's really what it comes down to. Obi-Wan was a jerk. He like
Wow. No, no. Remind me, who decided to leap over the man who was prepared to
if he
skewer them
wasn't
instead of
standing
just
there,
jump into the side?
you know what? If he wasn't standing there trying to talk about you were my brother and I love you, but you were my brother. Yeah, if it wasn't for that nonsense, it would have been fine. But no, he wanted to sit there and guilt trip the guy while he was sitting there getting angry about his freaking girlfriend. You know, whatever. You know, like, or even not a girlfriend, his wife. I mean, geez, there was some marital issues going on, and he wasn't respecting that.
Younglings.
They deserved
Younglings.
it. They deserved it. All right. Have you? You have kids? You know, sometimes you just want to take a lightsaber to them.
And there, dear listeners, on the subject of child murder, do we want to do some fun lists now, Todd?
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for it.
All right, you want me to go first?
I do want you to go first because I've already listened to this twice because I can't record things properly, and I love your list, and I just want to let you go and do your thing.
Yes, everyone. So if you haven't figured out from me ranting on Discord and in various other episodes, I'm pretty deep in the Star Wars lore. I like it a lot. So listeners, I'm going to create for you, despite my hatred of Darth Vader having the Galactic Republic tag, I am going to create a Darth Vader Republic list for you. And we're going to go deep into the lore, okay? Because I know we all like our what ifs. You know, Marvel does this all the time. They've been doing it for, decades, right?
It's
and
my
Star
favorite
Wars is
cartoon.
kind of dip.
I love
Yeah,
that cartoon.
yeah. So we're going really deep. So I am going to reference a story all the way back before the Disney days. There was a trilogy of what if stories where the original trilogy took a different turn in each story. So like in A New Hope, Luke's proton torpedoes malfunction and damage the Death Star. It doesn't destroy the Death Star, and the Empire ends up destroying the Rebel base. But Leia survives because again the Death Star's damaged and there's something weird going on with it. So completely different take on the story because the Rebel Alliance is gone. Leia is captured and turned to the dark side, and Luke has to deal with this, and it's like him and Han and Chewie, and that's it. So that's A New Hope. Empire was what would happen if Luke died on Hoth. So Luke dies on Hoth, and Leia ends up traveling to Dagobah instead. Return of the Jedi, they fail to rescue Han from Jabba. A bunch of stuff goes wrong at the palace, and they get out, but they don't rescue Han. So there's no Han for the Battle of Endor, and a bunch of other stuff happens. So spoilers, don't listen to the next 5 seconds if you want to read these books, but they're also old, and I don't even know if you can find them. They're on my shelf. But at the end of the Return of the Jedi story, Darth Vader ends up surviving, but so does Palpatine. And Darth Vader still gets redeemed and brought back to the good side, to the light side, and then he joins the Rebel Alliance in hunting down the Emperor, who is now in hiding. All right? All right, we following me?
I'm
Okay,
following.
this is a 2-part story. There's a 2-part story, and Todd's gonna fall asleep over there because he's already heard me tell this 2 times. So now we're gonna jump ahead to the Marvel era. I guess it's the Disney era. Disney owns my whole childhood, listeners. I don't know what to do about this. So Marvel told a story, and they gave us a new canon reason for why red lightsabers exist. Because in the Legends story, they were synthetic lightsabers, right? They made synthetic crystals, and the Jedi had naturally forming ones, and that was the difference between them. That's what caused the colors, right? But in the new canon, the Sith have to literally torture the now semi-sentient crystals into being bent to their will. And so they do this thing where they bleed the crystal. So there's a story, an early Vader story, where he has to do this, right? Because he's a Sith, he doesn't have a lightsaber. Palpatine even makes fun of him that he fights like a Jedi, and you know, like, this is a whole story arc. But in that story arc, when he goes and finds a Jedi, because he has to find a Jedi to take their lightsaber, which is actually, so people could complain all the time about some of the changes Disney has made to the canon. This is actually a way better story than our original reason for how we got Sith lightsabers. Like, it's pretty rad, everybody. Come on. So in the story, he defeats this Jedi, kills him, takes his lightsaber, and starts the process of bleeding it. And he gets this vision, and it's a vision of, what if he just stopped? He doesn't have to be Darth Vader. Like, there's still that piece of Anakin in him. They bring that up over and over in the story. And he has this whole vision where he brings the lightsaber back to Palpatine, but ignites it, and it's green, not red. And then he just takes out Palpatine. And then he goes and finds Obi-Wan, and basically falls to his feet, and he's like, I'm sorry, I was wrong, Palpatine lied to me, I need to be redeemed. And of course, dear listeners, if you've seen the rest of the movies, this isn't what actually happens, right? It's a vision. So he doesn't do that. But you following me, everyone? I know this is an Aubrey story. I should have told you to get a drink first.
Yeah, you went on your tangent, but that's all right. I think we're good.
We're getting there. Todd's still awake, everybody. Hopefully you are too. Because we're going to create a Shatterpoint list of what would happen if Vader actually did this. So we're getting a light side Vader, hence the Galactic Republic tag, because I need it. So Darth Vader, Jedi Hunter, except now he's hunting Palpatine. Because we're going to go with, he doesn't go back right away. Because can you imagine just walking up to someone and trying to gank them when they're prepared for you? That never happens in Star Wars shows, right?
Never happens.
Never happens. Anyway, he's got to prepare. So Vader has to go out and he tries to find Obi-Wan. But he doesn't find Obi-Wan because that's not who I want my second primary to be, Todd. You ready?
I'm ready. Who is it?
He's going to find Ahsoka instead. And we can all talk about how she went into the War Between Worlds and time dilation and time travel, and we don't know exactly where she was in this time period. I don't care. We're going to say he finds her because this is still the early days. This is before all of that.
Fair enough.
So
this is before Rebels.
He goes and finds Ahsoka. Right. Yeah, I'm making sure we know the timeline. This is still early days. This is before any of that. So he finds Ahsoka. So Ahsoka, Jedi No More, our other primary.
All right.
Now, remember who else is alive? Barriss is alive. And I bet she doesn't like the Empire taking over any more than anybody else. Because we don't know what happened to Barriss. There's no canon answer for, like, we know she got imprisoned, presumably in the Citadel, because that's where the special Jedi prison for Force sensitives or whatever. So we go and get Barriss. There's our next one.
Who goes and gets Barriss? Is it Ahsoka, or is it Darth Vader that goes and gets her? Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I caught you off guard.
Because then, yeah, no, you got me. This is the third take of this story, and you got me, Todd. I think it's Ahsoka because it would be cool because Ahsoka could show up and then they could have one of those like misunderstanding duels. Like Barriss thinks Ahsoka's come to kill her, but really Ahsoka's trying to rescue her. So
I
it's
like
Ahsoka.
it.
All
Good,
right,
good,
I'm
good,
building this.
good recovery. I love it. I love it.
I'm building this on the fly. Building this on the fly. All right. Our other secondary. We know Rex is still running around. He was trying to help the clones out. He was still like doing things, but we know Rex ultimately ends up leaving the Empire, of course. So we got Rex. So Rex, he's going with Vader. Vader has the 501st because they're going to be loyal to Vader. I don't care I don't care that this is a little wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. He's got the 501st.
They're still
Yes,
Vader's
I know
fist.
they're the worst unit.
They're still
But
Vader's fist. It's
this
okay.
is lore.
It's okay.
This is a lore list, okay, everybody? It's fine. It's fine. All right. So then, last but not least, on the other side, we've got we've got the Handmaidens because final story time, and everyone, if you don't like Barriss in this story for some reason, just put Sabe in because Sabe is also an amazing character, and there's a whole Vader comic dedicated to her. Her story is after Padme dies, she forms a group with Naboo's security officers and the other former handmaidens to investigate Padme's death because they think that the Empire is responsible, which I mean, yeah, we could talk about who's directly responsible for somebody losing the will to live. I don't know. Whatever.
Sadness.
They think
sadness
that Vader
is responsible because sadness makes you die.
Yes. Sadness is responsible. So they think Vader killed Anakin and Padme. Like that's what they intuit. And so Sabe and the Handmaidens go after Vader. It's a great story. You absolutely should read it. I've already gone into too much lore detail already, so I'm going to skip the story. Just read it. But that's why the Handmaidens are coming along for the ride. And if you want to make it extra flavorful, you could switch out Barriss for Sabe. But this is the team. This is the strike team that I feel like if Vader had just made a different choice at this moment and gone and found everybody, he probably wouldn't have been able to find Luke or Obi-Wan because he's, distracted by sand. But if he found all these people, and now we're going in and we're getting Palpsy Boy. I got him. All right? It would have changed the whole galaxy.
Okay, so the Aubrey Vader Redemption Team, as we're going to call it. The Vader Redemption Team is Vader, Rex, the 501st, along with Ahsoka, Barriss, and the Handmaidens. Pretty cool list. I like it. I think I like your story more than I like the list, but we'll go with it.
Oh yeah, listeners, don't play this list. It's. I don't think it would be very good, but I had fun. I had fun telling you a story. How about that?
Yeah, the librarian telling the stories. Go figure that you would love doing that. It's almost a shock to me, but I've known you too long. So, but no. So
Yes. Now remind me, Todd. There's a good detail that goes along with this. Weren't you telling me about a model? We've done this a couple times now.
oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank because we've done this so many times. What are we referring to?
Remember the paint job of Redeemed Vader.
Oh yes. So the redeemed Vader. So, and I don't know if I even have this anymore where I can share it, but if you, not my good friend, one of my favorite painters and one of my favorite streamers, I love watching him on stream, is Dallas Kemp. He is one of the creative directors over at Atomic Mass Games. He did a model of Vader, but it's Vader if he in the what if story of Aubrey. I think the two of you are like connected somehow. I don't know how that works out, but he made a Vader model where if Vader didn't like turned away from the dark side, and it's very cool. I think he has it up. I know he has it on his Facebook page. He has it on his Instagram as well. It's worth checking out. And I mean, Dallas Kemp is an amazing painter anyway, so it's definitely worth checking out for sure.
Yeah. So that's the idea. Because in the comic, there's this striking panel at the end of the return. This is the Return of the Jedi one, not the newer one. It's the same Vader armor, but it's all in white, and it is an amazing visual because it's interesting how just something as much as a palette swap changes the feel. He looks less menacing. I mean,
Right.
it's still the Vader suit. Like I'll be honest, I like the design you talked about even better because if you look at the details in that paint job, it looks perfect. So I think that's actually better. Because didn't you say there's more like brown? Like it looks more like he's wearing Jedi robes just with the Vader
Yeah, it's kind of
armor and then the breather.
it's darker, and he doesn't wearing the whole mask. He just has that respirator over his nose and mouth. So it's like the entire helmet is gone, and it's just the respirator, which like kind of like what you would expect. Like, okay, he has to have the respirator to keep him alive, but you want to see the humanity and not just have that mask on there. And that's, I think, like the bigger piece of it is like the visual of the humanity of Anakin and not just the shell that he put on when he became a Sith Lord.
Yeah, yeah. So there we go. Redemption arc. Todd, do you have a list for us? I don't know. I don't even remember now.
I
know
do.
I know I talked for a while on this one.
That's all right. That's all right. I think I kind of encouraged that so that we could sit there and because the first one was great, the second one was okay. I wanted to encourage a little bit more talking because it's fun when we sit there and talk. But yes, I do have a list. Mine is I don't have that in the Aubrey gusto of like storytelling because I'm not a librarian. So I was just a dumb army grunt. So I think that's my problem. But I'll try and do my
Wow.
best. I'll try and do my best to sit there and give my little story. So mine is going to be starting out, and I'm going to start with my somebody who's a strong independent woman, and that is Queen Amidala. So because I'm going to start with her, she's I love her, one because she's an attractive young lady and she needs to sit there and be loved, and she just doesn't know it yet. But I don't know what I'm saying anymore. So but I like but I want
You're talking about Senator Amidala. It's okay. It's all
that
right,
is
Todd.
true.
It's
I
all
am. So
right. We have to specify.
yes. So no, I want to start with the Queen Amidala. I think she's a fun character. She's definitely worth playing, but I wanted to build more of a family style team, I guess, something that's going to be a good wholesome team. Let's say that. So I started with Queen Amidala, and basically it only makes sense to sit there and bring her with her entire box, which is Sabe and the Handmaidens. And I do like that. I like bringing Sabe. And I know that you have gone in previously into the story of Sabe where she's after Queen Amidala becomes a senator, Sabe has her own little mission that she goes on trying to free some of the slaves on Tatooine, and has that whole mission over there. And that's very cool, but I think like this is again, you're going with the what if side of it, where it's Queen Amidala with the Naboo, and this is when she was a strong lady, when she wasn't bogged down by politics, because politics suck. Politicians are awful people, and this is before like she was corrupted by politics. Like when she's still strong and
Wow. Is that what led to Padme's downfall? It wasn't Anakin. It was
wasn't.
politics.
It was politics. It was politicians and freaking just. I mean, let's look at the world around us. Politics is horrible, and this is why she really died. It had nothing to do with Anakin. It was just the politicians around her that weakened her, and that strong resolve that she had back when she was the queen. You understand?
Yep,
we
this,
see where I'm
this
going?
is how democracy dies with thunderous applause.
Exactly.
She died. She died with the Republic. All right. You know
Exactly.
what? I like that better than she got sad. She got sad, and we can't fix that.
No, it was all these stupid politicians. I mean, we can all respect, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. You know that politicians suck really bad, pretty bad. They do, no matter what side of the aisle on. So there we go.
Now, Todd, remember, Star Wars isn't supposed to be political. We're not supposed to have politics in our story about a fascist regime getting overthrown by guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, that's Disney, not George Lucas. Let's really that's Disney's take on it. George Lucas knows better. I mean, he did base a lot of this off of like the Viet Cong type of thing. So, well, that's a whole nother story. So,
remind me, what had just ended there in '77, just before '77?
Yeah, exactly. So, nothing to do with Vietnam
sorry.
at all.
We might lose a couple of listeners with this one, Todd.
I doubt it. I doubt it. They know us by now. But no, so I'm going to start with the Queen Amidala box, and I'm going to make this a happy couple. This is when Amidala was strong enough to keep Anakin in line and stop him from being a whiny little bitch that he is. That's really what's going on.
Yes, I'm getting a strong sense of the meme where if Padme was actually 9 months pregnant with twins, and she's like, we wouldn't have needed it wouldn't have been an Obi-Wan Anakin fight on Mustafar.
No.
She would have just gone down that lane and been like, "What are you doing?"
Exactly.
and just
Exactly. She would just been
slap
like,
the dark side right out of him.
she would have like, listen here, I'm carrying around twins. You need to get your ass on the ship and come back home before I go into labor. That's exactly what was going to happen. I'm sorry, but this is what Queen Amidala would have been, not Senator that would have been drugged down.
Right. Okay.
So we're gonna have Anakin because he's gonna protect the wife, and actually she's gonna keep him in line because that's what at least that's what my wife does. She keeps me in line when I get out of line. So you know how it is. And because it's Anakin,
Oh yeah.
because it's Anakin, he's going to have Snips with him because it's Snips, and we love Snips, and he loves Snips. And this is and the last but not least, he's going to have his 501st with him because that's the only thing that Anakin is. He's with Snips, and he's with 501st. So that's my team. It's more it's the Queen Amidala keeping Anakin in check team.
That's great. That's great. I like it. That's very good. It's straightforward, but that's okay. I like it.
I don't have the storytelling ability that you do. I'm more of the smart ass ability.
Hey, I gotta say, I'm now envisioning that all we needed to do was keep Padme out of the senatorial arena, and things would have just been fine. They would have been great.
She worked for a nonprofit instead of going into government work. I think she would have been better. Just find a nonprofit, saving slaves instead of going and working for a corrupt government. It's a story as old as time.
Oh man! Oh boy! And one last shout out because I don't remember which episode I talked about this on, if this was just in one of our not recorded ones or whatever. But if you haven't read the Padme trilogy, the YA novels that are about her being queen and then becoming a senator, and then I will admit I'm still in the middle of reading the third one, but they were fantastic, listeners. And I will be the first to tell you if a book was just okay or it didn't make sense. These were a good read in any era of Star Wars. Worth it. Like, Sabe's great, Padme is great. I'm very interested to see what Padme is going to look like in this storyline when she's married to Anakin. I'm curious to see if it keeps riding that high. I'll let you know once I finish book.
She's a broken politician. I'm telling you right now. That's all it is. She's a broken politician.
Oh man, I love it.
So that's Aubrey, not a loyal traitor. Aubrey. This is honest librarian Aubrey.
Yes. Usually you have to pay to get those services, right?
I thought my tax dollars paid for
taxes.
that. Yeah, okay.
Property taxes, everybody. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're about done for the day. I do want to thank everyone for checking in and listening to us. I know we took a little while to get there. Blame my technology impotence. Is that something I can say on recording? I'm going to say it anyway. So thanks again for listening, though. If you do want to support the channel, definitely leave a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like, leave a comment, and let me know what you're thinking, or whatever you want to do there. We appreciate each and every one of you for listening. And I do want to say one last time, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.